Okay. Everything working? Check, check. Hello. Silence. Okay, good evening everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to see a bunch of people coming in here to our little special event. Do we have the computer screen on the screen here? Oh, okay. So, my name is David Roland. I'm here to show you Roland's new product series that we call Aira, and it's basically sort of a look back on some retro gear. There we go. There's our nice logo as well. So it's a look back on some of our old Roland classics, as well as some more futuristic features. And Aira is actually the name of a Japanese plant. So that's many people ask, why is it called Aira? So it's a Japanese plant, and it's sort of a symbolism for bringing something organic into the digital technology. And that's the lovely logo. Also, that's actually the reason for the color green, or one of the reasons. Another reason is that it actually looks very nice. So that is what Aira means, and a little background info. There is a lot of legendary musicians that use the classics, the 808 and the 909, and many people have also requested the release of a remake, such as just a new TB303 or a new TR808. But we actually want to do more than that. We don't want to go down that road and just re-release an old product. So we want to make something more special of this. And so we have now the sort of an analogish sound, but we also have the digital advantages, such as built-in audio interfaces and things like that. And the reason for that is that hardware is now coming back into digital recording and also for live performance. So do you know these guys? No? It's actually, they're Swedish, so it's a band called Skudge, and they use a lot of hardware on stage. But there's a downside to that, is because the old analog classics, for one, they're very, very expensive, and they're also less reliable, the technology. So with the digital technology, you have it always staying in the same state and not changing its own little mind. So I'd like to introduce the first product. It's called the TR8, and this is actually a drum machine containing all of the sounds from the classic TR808 and the TR909 in the same box. But before I explain more about it, I would just like to sort of do a little jam with all of these products together. So I have the TR8 here, and the TB3, and the VT3 voice processor, which my mic is already connected to, this one, and the System 1. And then I'll explain to you a little bit more about the individual products and the features. So yeah, we'll just do a little simple jam here. Everything is MIDI synchronized, of course, and the System 1 is, the TB3 is connected to the external input of the TR8. So I have, for instance, I can add some sidechain compression to the TB3 that way, because it has a sidechain compressor in the TR8 as well. So yeah, just a little live tweaking, live arranging, and live mistakes. So please enjoy. Thank you very much. So that's one way you can use all these things synchronized together. And yeah, can we get the picture back of our little nice, very well prepared PowerPoint here? So this is the TR-8, and as I said, it has all of the sounds of the TR-808 and TR-909. Actually, we're now in the process of adding additional sounds too, such as the TR-707 and things like that. So also some new features inside. We actually have sequenceable effects, such as delay and reverb, that you can sequence and add some individual reverb hits to individual steps, and the same thing with delay, and also the sidechain is sequenceable as well. Also here is something we call the VT3. It's partly based on something called the VT1. I don't know if any of you heard of the VT1, the Boss VT1 voice transformer. That's a very old product by now, but actually it has a very high value in second-hand circumstances. And also it's very, very difficult to get a hold of. So you have all the features of the VT1, but also additional ones, which is sort of the theme of all of our products here. You have all the features of the classics, but also new features and new sounds and new functions. So that's the VT3. Another one, the TB3. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this release, and now it's finally happened. It's very, very different from the TB303 because, again, you have a lot of new functions and a lot of new sounds. But the essence of the TB303 is still there. So you can make very genuine TB303 sounds, but also a lot more. So you have lead sounds, you have effects inside, and also effect sounds as well. Now here, another new product. This is the System 1. This little keyboard right here. And actually it has two parts, the System 1. So there's one mode, which is called the System 1 mode, and one mode called the plug-out mode. And System 1 mode is a unique synth in itself with new waveforms and other new features. Also, you have the plug-out mode, which is another synth that you will be able to import. So we will release several old Roland classics, like or virtual classics, like the SH101, SH2, and so on. And you will be able to download those to your computer and then import them through USB. And you just press the button and suddenly it turns into a virtual SH101. which is quite an interesting thing. And you will have a whole new sound engine, of course, new filters, and everything will be new. So you can basically turn this into a lot of different synths, but also, again, it's its own synth in itself. So that's what Aira is all about. Retro features, but also new things at the same time. And just a little bit of dance music or electronic music history. Here, just to make our little point here, you have how various instruments have affected the evolvement of music. So basically, how the classic grand piano affected music, and also the development of the electric guitar. For instance, nobody would have heard of Jimi Hendrix probably if there was not an electric guitar, and that's kind of how we view things. So I would like to give you just a little old school electronic music quiz. But first, we'll show you a few classic sounds here.
Yeah, just hit me. Just hit the phone and hit me.
So, do you know the answer to this question? What music category is this, and what instruments was used? What instrument was used for the rhythm part? Anybody knows? What instrument is this? The drums? Yeah, TR-808, correct. And what style of music is this? Yeah. Electro hip hop. So, and yes, that drum machine is, of course, the TR-808. Another one? What kind of music is this? And what instruments were used in this track? Any guesses? Yeah. So this is acid house, and of course it's the TB303, and it says TR909, but that's actually wrong. It's a TR707, which does the drums here. Another one. Who is this guy? And what music would you call this? Sorry? Yes, correct. And what instruments are used here for the rhythm part? It's a TR909. Yeah. Another one? So what rhythm instruments do we have here? And what music category would you call this? Yeah, acid house, and actually it's both the TR-808 and the TR-909. And this guy. That was fast, yeah. It's Jeff Mills. And what would you call this music category? Yeah. Or minimal techno, whichever. Yeah, so, and it's the TR-909 that's being used there as well. And here's a little bit of a different one. What would you call this? What's this music, and what kind of technology, musical technology is used here? That's very unique and groundbreaking for this time. Yeah, drum and bass or jungle, and the technology is sampling and time stretch. And here's a little bit more in the pop category, sort of.
Yes! Oh my God!
I see some frowning faces here. So, would you call this? Well, it already says there, actually. Yeah, bro step, post dubstep, whatever kind of step. So that's of course Skrillex, and the point we're trying to make is how new technology creates new styles of music. So here you also have a little map of from a site called How Music Travels, and here you can see how different a lot of different styles of music relate to each other. And this is also to make a point that the TR-808 and 909 and other legendary machines have been used in many of this kind of music styles. So it's not only for electronic dance music or techno, this kind of things. So do you know this machine? Yeah. TR-808, of course. And here's some big list of classic tracks that have been using this machine. So you see everything from Marvin Gaye here to Africa Bambaataa and Beastie Boys, so a very wide range of artists. And here we have, of course, the TR-909. Same thing here, all kinds of artists from Moby to 808 State, Aphex Twin, The Prodigy, and TB-303, same there. A lot of legendary artists such as DJ Pierre and Shaman, Orbital. And yeah, so that's just a little bit of fun history about electronic instruments and dance music. And now in these new gears, we have introduced something we call ACB, or analog circuit behavior. So no, it's not analog, it's 100% digital, but it's a very unique concept because our engineers in Japan have analyzed every single component in analog circuits and how each and every single resistor and transistor affects the sound. And then they have translated this analyzation into a digital environment, such as this scheme here. So we analyze the original circuit and then make the signal flow, create a digital coding program, and so on, and then implement that into the new hardware. Yeah, that's very... And actually, here are some of the old school guys in the TB-303, the TR-808 crew. They're still around, some of them. I mean, in Roland, for instance, Hoshiai, here is still working really hard. You might have seen him actually in the ACB videos that we posted about Aira. He actually possesses the original 909 cymbal and the original 909 hi-hat. So that's very, very cool video. Check that out if you just Google or search on YouTube, Aira and ACB. Very cool stuff. Yeah, some various ways you can connect your gear here. Of course, it's very useful just by itself. I play my things as they are live here, but you can also integrate it, for instance, in a DJ setup or things like that. Another new concept we have in our products, in all of the Aira products, we have something called scatter. And this is an effect that actually samples your pattern and then chops it up into small pieces, and then it will apply various effects to those pieces, and sometimes it will rearrange them, sometimes it will reverse them and add other types of effects too. So that's a very interesting effect, and again we have it all. We have it in every piece of these gears, but they work slightly differently for each one. And now I'd like to just show you the TR-8 to start with in action. Again, it has all of the sounds of the TR-808 and the TR-909. So let's just start by checking out some basic electro pattern here, and I'll just give you a pure 808 kit to start with. Now you have all the original classic parameters of the TR-808 here, so you can tune the snare, you can tune the bass drum, and tweak all of the sounds. You have various sliders as well, so you can easily mix the levels of the kits. And so a new parameter we've added also is compression. So now you have compression on the kick and the snare as well. And this shines extra well if you use a 909 kit. This is without compression. And this is with compression on kick and snare. So you can make it even extra punchy like that. Of course, you have the classic step recording mode of the TR-808. Just press track record here and you can easily make your pattern. But something interesting we've added, like I mentioned earlier, we have now reverb and delay on board, which is also sequenceable. So I can add reverb hits, for instance, here, like that. Maybe one more. And you can do the same thing with the delay as well. So that's a very nice way to make your beats a little bit extra funky. You have pattern selector, very easy to change between your different patterns. You have 16 pattern slots for direct access. That one's a silent one. Maybe add a little bit of fill. And go back. So 16 different patterns, and also you have 16 different drum kits. So you can customize your own drum kits. You can, for instance, have a 909 kick with the 808 snare and so on. And you can store 16 different kits for direct access. So. And everything is very direct and it's very fast, and you can do most of the operations while the pattern is still rolling. So this means if you're playing live, it's really easy to add and subtract things in a live situation without actually stopping your set. Each pattern also has an A and B part, so if you want to do a little fill and things like that, you can do that too. And also you can chain the A and B part together to make a 2-bar pattern. You have other interesting features. Last step, for instance, you can actually make it a 7/8 rhythm if you want to, like this. Or just very short. So you're basically in control of everything here. You have scale, you can do triplets and 32 notes and everything like that. Also, let's try the scatter effect here. So the scatter effect, again, we have this effect on all of the gear. Let's start with trying that one out on the TR-8. You have 10 different types of scatter, and they do things slightly differently. So I can activate it here. So it actually messes up the pattern a little bit and does a loop, and you can increase or decrease the size of that loop by just turning the knob here. So it's really cool live performance feature, especially if you use all of this gear at once. You can do it individually on every single piece here, and it can go really wild. And now let's just try a straight pattern. And I'll add some sidechain compression here. Put in the TB3 again. So just as I sequence the instruments and just as I sequence the gate reverb and the echo or delay, I can also sequence the sidechain trigger. So turn the sidechain up. I can put a sidechain trigger on step number 1. And now you hear it ducking like that, but I can also put it on all quarter notes. And now you get that thumping, ducking effect. So that's it for now for the TR-8. Also, again, a very important feature is that all of these devices have built-in audio interfaces. So they're really easy to record into your DAW system if you use Logic or Pro Tools, Ableton, whatever it is you're using. And also, it's all 96 kilohertz quality sound. So the sound quality is really high. And also, the filters are really smooth and things like that, so you cannot hear any digital artifacts in that sense. So now I'd like to move over to the TB3. Turn off the sidechain there. So, like I said before, this is not just a TB303 impersonator, even though it obviously does that really well. But I'd like to start there and just give you some classic TB303 sounds. We can start with a basic sawtooth wave here. Let's try another pattern. This one. There we go. So if you listen to the filters, it's really warm, really smooth. And the accent, of course, very important, is very spot on as well. Let's try it with a square wave. So those are the basic TB303 sounds, but you also have actually 3 effect units inside this box. So you can, for instance, use compression, distortion, and delay simultaneously. So I'll just use one of my favorite sounds here with a lot of distortion on it. And of course, Roland and Boss is basically the same brand. So this means that the distortion quality is really, really good. So get real nice distortions like that. Add some delay. So that's a little bit of the TB303 sounds, but it has 4 different sound banks. So bank A, B, C, and D. So bank A is TB303 sounds, but bank B is other bass sounds that have nothing to do with the TB303. So you just get a bunch of various nice bass sounds. And even if you go to bank C, just browse randomly here, you have lead sounds as well. And even effects. So all this you get for a very, very small fraction of what a real TB303 will cost. And also, again, you have USB and everything. Let's try some other functions here. I'll go back to my favorite TB303. So you have different pad modes. So there's no physical keyboard here. It's actually a touchpad. So now it's in keyboard mode. This means I can just simply play it. And as you can hear, when I play the keyboard, it interrupts the pattern, so I can do some general improvisation in my set. Things like that. But you also have the XY play mode, which is basically just like the keyboard, but the XY play is more seamless, so it's more smooth transition between the pitches. So that's XY play. And then there's envelope modulation mode. This is actually XY pad, but also a Z pad, because it's actually pressure sensitive. So you can control 3 parameters at the same time just by placing and pressuring your finger on the pad. So So that's envelope modulation. And there's also pattern select mode. Here's where I select my patterns. You have 8 banks and 8 patterns in each bank. So that makes a total of 64. And you can just select them instantly like this. And next one. Next one. And you can actually chain them together as well. So if I just drag my finger here and mark several of them, like this, they will just play in a sequence. Can you tell on the screen? Yeah. It's moving. So that's one nice thing too. And you actually can transpose the pattern in real time. Let's try another one. This one. Yeah, acid blues. So that's also a cool feature. And of course, there's the scatter mode as well. This one has 8 different scatter types. First one is basically a looping effect. So you make the loop shorter and shorter by dragging your finger to the right. So that's a scatter effect, but you also have different versions. So again, you can do pitch shifting style. Things like that. You also have a ring modulator. Kind of R2D2 effect. So everything you do here, you can do seamlessly again. So you don't have to stop your pattern on everything. You can just go to some pattern here, and I can easily clear it like this, and I can just start recording. Just put in a few notes here, and it's still rolling. It never stops. I can randomize things too. I can, for instance, if I like these notes, I just put these in now. I can hold keyboard and press scatter. It will randomize accents and slides. So it will still keep the actual notes, but it will be differently accentuated. Like this. Don't like that? Okay, just do it again. Again. So that's one way of doing it. And if you have absolutely no talent at all and don't know what to do, you can just randomize an entire pattern. So I can, for instance, press pattern select and scatter. There we go. Not very good. Okay, another one. So you can just entertain an entire club just by doing that for 5 hours. At least if they're drunk, you know. I think that sums up the TB3 actually. There are, though, a few hidden modes as well that I'd like to just quickly show you as well. For instance, you have shuffle here. I hold the tempo button and turn the value dial, and I get shuffle, different values. So now you get that kind of house groove. You can even do negative shuffle, which I never understood what it's good for, but Timberland seems to like it. Yeah, so that's a shuffle. You can also control the length of the pattern. Choose how many steps. 3 steps. 7. So So you can have actually up to 32 steps. So that means you can have it. One pattern can be up to 2 measures. So that is the essence, I think, of the TB3. And maybe I should move over to something else. For instance, the VT3, the voice transformer. So that would be this one. Yes. So voice transformer VT3. My mic is already connected to this one. So this means that I can alter my voice in real time. And you can do it in various ways. First, we have the pitch slider here. So I can easily, in real time, just go up a whole octave with my voice. And I can also go down a whole octave as well. There's also the format setting. And the format setting actually changes the character of my voice
without changing the pitch. So this means I can sound a lot smaller, or
I can sound a lot bigger and still remain in the same pitch. So I can go everywhere from a big woman
to a small man, or a little girl,
or a big man. So all kinds of voices basically there. And that's just the main sort of character and pitch, but you also have a bunch of effects inside as well. So I have auto pitch, for instance. So this is basically auto tune, and I can use auto tune and the pitch
and the format
at the same time. So I can sound like a little girl and auto tune myself at the same time, which makes Britney Spears quite useless after a while. So I can try this just by maybe making this setting and some nice karaoke reverb, and I can go like every night in my dreams I see you, I feel you. Things like that. So you can sound exactly like Celine Dion, as you can hear, obviously. And there is also a vocoder here. And this is actually a very classic vocoder called the Roland VP330, but now modeled with this ACB technology that I was earlier talking about. So you have a very genuine sound, and you can also still control the pitch like this, and even the format of the vocoder. So you can always control the pitch and format of the sounds. And I think you might know this sound is very famous. Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic, another dimension. So that's a very famous vocoder sound. Also, you can of course, now it remains on one note. It's on the same note all the time that I set with the pitch slider. And that's because I have the robot button switch on. If I turn that off, or let's just try this first. I can even use the robot function on my own voice. So this is my real voice, but on one pitch all the time. Or here, whichever you like. So that's the robot switch. But if you turn it off, it will just follow your own personal pitch like this. So you can, for instance, you can sing like Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And you can also talk with it. Hello, I am Stephen Hawking. I think your music sucks. So you can do all kinds of things with the vocoder as well. There's also the synth here. So various synth sounds, some spooky lead. And bass, or as I call it, dubstep for beginners. So you can just growl into the mic and go. And there you go. You created some dubstep in 5 seconds. So that's one thing, and you also have some basic vocal effects like megaphone. Megaphone. So megaphone is sort of a hardcore EQ, so it sounds kind of like Beastie Boys maybe. So what you want? This kind of thing. Or maybe Fred Durst in every song. This time I'ma let it all come out. This kind of old school rap metal, which I for some reason still listen to. So also we have the radio effect, or a bit crusher kind of effect, like so it kind of sounds like a speak and spell. And again, you have scatter effect also in the VT3, which is of course slightly different because it doesn't have a pattern sequencer or anything like that. So it doesn't work the same way as in these guys, but it actually creates a delay, and the delay will vary its delay time depending on your input. So if I say something slow, hello, then it will do kind of a long delay. But if I do something fast, then it will do a fast delay. So this is quite cool for maybe some beatboxing, like a yeah. So even if you suck at beatboxing like I do, it will still sound quite cool. So that's the scatter effect, and you also you have 3 patch slots here, so you can easily save everything. If you, for instance, I do this setting here, I like to
Sound like a little girl with a lot of echo on it, then I can just save that here in a second.
And so I can instantly switch to
Little girl mode.
like that when I say it. So you have 3 settings that you can save like that. And this one actually has a built-in audio interface as well, of course, and a combined XLR and jack input for the mic, and even a small mic input on the front. So you can even actually just use it for home recording if you just want to record vocals. If you're one of those divas who has to have reverb on everything you record, but still want to record it with a dry signal, you can do that at the same time because it has 3 outputs. So you can record the effect signal and the dry signal at the same time on separate tracks. So that's the VT3. Now I'd like to move over to the System 1. So this is our new synth. Again, it has 2 modes. So it has System 1 mode, which is the unique synth in itself, and also the plug-out mode, where you will be able to import our new releases, new old Roland classics, such as the SH101. You can buy and put into here. Actually, you might even get it for free if you buy the System 1. So you can import a virtual SH101 here, and the lights you see here on the knobs, they will actually go dark when there are parameters on the System 1 that you cannot use on an SH101. So you can easily see which knobs you can use in the new synth that you import. Some unique features in this one compared to other synths. For instance, we have some new waveforms. So if you're familiar with the supersaw waveform, anybody? Then you might know it sounds like this. That's a very famous waveform for all kinds of dance music. But now we actually have waveforms called super square and super triangle as well. So it's the same principle as supersaw, but with a square wave or a triangle wave. So you can control even the detune factor or the color of the waveform with the color knob. Like that, or even also even the normal, so-called normal waveforms, like the sawtooth. So you can still control the character of the waves like that. So that's one thing that makes it unique. Another thing is the very fast LFO. If I add some pitch LFO here. So very fast LFO inside as well as some other cool features like cross modulation. And also the normal, more common ring modulation and oscillator sync 2. There's also a filter key follow, so that the filter will, oh sorry. So the filter will go up or down depending on what keys you play. So if I add, I really like this kind of style with arpeggios, for instance. Now there's also some effects on board, reverb, delay, very easy to control. And also a bit crusher too. Which is actually nice to have a bit crusher knob when you're performing live, just to make some instant kind of lo-fi effects in your set, which I actually do a lot when I play. Those are some key features inside, but also, of course, speaking of the arpeggiator, I'll show you the scatter effect in this one too. So now we have a normal arpeggio. Let's add some reverb, delay, some filtering. Okay, something like that. And now we can try the scatter effect. So the scatter effect is arpeggio based, and actually it will increase or decrease the tempo of or the rhythm of your arpeggio. So if I choose between the 10 different types here with my knob right there, so I can choose type number 1. You can see type number 1 is lit. And I just choose the scatter control here. And the cool thing is it never goes out of sync. So, for instance, if I let's try this. Just put on some drums there. So that's the first scatter algorithm of the System 1, but you also have several other ones. So let's try a more radical one. Now you see several knobs light up. This means that those parameters of those knobs are also changing at the same time as the rhythm. So now it's tweaking the filter and resonance and high pass filter as well. And let's try another one. There's also one that does some nice cross modeling as well. And so on. It never goes out of sync. So those are a few things I think makes the System 1 very unique. Also, everything here is very direct, so there's no need for any shift buttons or menus or this kind of thing, or displays. Everything is very direct. You just tweak the sound you want, and when you're done making your sound, if you really like how it sounds, you just hold the button you want to save it to, and it blinks for a couple of seconds, and it's saved. So everything is very instant. Also, when you're playing with an arpeggio, and you change the sound, the arpeggio still keeps playing. So that's one thing also. It's kind of a small detail, but actually I find it very, very useful when you're playing live, just to keep the action going and not go out of sync or anything. So that's the most important features of the System 1. So actually now I think I've gone through all the products. So if there are any questions you might have, please feel free to ask. Anything at all about these things? A larger variety of sounds, you mean? Okay, yeah. Well, the sounds I have here are actually the sounds that I made myself just for my sort of live playing. So it's kind of since there's not many presets here, I just have those ones that I'm using for my songs, basically. But I have a few sounds here. For instance, here's a kind of a sample and hold filtering sound. Then I use some pads. What else do we have here? Yeah, this kind of classic super saw lead. And then there's some kind of acid. Some more clean lead. And more pads and some more kind of nasty bass. So those are the sounds I'm using right now. Yeah, so just a little bit of variation at least. Yeah. Yeah. There's only 8 memory slots, and also 8 additional ones, of course, for the plug-out synth that you import. Yeah, I mean, you can, of course, it's all of these products send and receive control change messages very well. So if you want to do that, some kind of C6 dump, this kind of thing, that's no problem at all. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you do it that way, yeah, of course. Yeah, if you want to just put in some MIDI control changes, yeah. Anything else? Yeah, it does have a pitch bend. Exactly. So when you're in the arpeggio mode, that's where you get this scatter control. But if you turn the arpeggio off, so then it turns into a normal pitch bend. And also there's a modulation switch here. So, and it's based on the LFO that you currently set. So. Yeah, the modulation, basically the modulation button adds pitch depth to the LFO rate that you already set. Yeah. So if you set a slow LFO, it will be slow. You set it faster. No, not currently anyway, as far as I know, no. So now it's just per default adds pitch depth to the LFO, yeah. Yeah, but this is, I consider this the system one, even though the sound engine is very advanced, I sort of consider the keyboard itself more like a trigger than a keyboard for playing solos. It's more like a, you know, you choose your arpeggio and you trigger things like that, and that's also the main idea with all this gear is to be able to use it live and for easy and convenient transportation. So having a very advanced key bed is not priority number one, so to speak. So that's one of the reasons, I would say. No, the arpeggiator is actually just very basic. So it's not like you program complete melodies or anything like that. You have different motives here, such as up, down, or just up, or things like that. Yeah, the basic ones. And also 2 octaves or 1 octave. And also the rhythm, you can set triplets or 8th notes. Yeah. And first, again, the first plug-out synth we will release is already decided, and it will be the SH101. The next ones is not 100% established yet, so but the SH101 is definitely the first, and you might get sort of a coupon or a voucher, something like that, when you buy the system once. You can get maybe your first plug-out synth for free or something in that fashion. No, I haven't. No, unfortunately, I haven't actually. Huh? Well, the system one itself is expected to be delivered in June, so I presume that the plugouts will be also delivered at that time. Yeah, but me personally, I have no information about any current version. Yeah. Yeah. So any other questions or anything? No? All right. Well, the gear is set up over there, so if you want to try it out, feel free to go ahead. And if not, I'm gonna stay here and just play around a little bit. And I want to thank you all very much for coming. And my name is David Oland, so thank you very much for coming and for staying, most of you anyway. Thank you.